상대방의 속마음을 알고 싶을 때 절대 질문하지 마세요. CIA 요원들이 쓰는 이 기술 하나면 상대는 자기도 모르게 진실을 털어놓게 됩니다.
And my goal is to talk someone into doing something that they normally would not do.
You talk about this elicitation.
Yeah,
What is elicitation? It's a CIA technique, right?
it is. It was originally came up with by this guy named John Nolan, and his book is no longer for sale. You have to get it on eBay. Like, it's hard to find. But the book is called Confidential.
Why isn't it no longer for sale?
I think that he just kind of pulled it off the shelf. I'm not sure.
Okay.
그럼 실전에서는 어떻게 정보를 끌어낼까요? 이제부터는 상대방이 스스로 입을 열게 만드는 틀린 정보 던지기 기법에 주목해보세요.
So elicitation is about using statements instead of questions. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you and I walk into Whole Foods, which is, we're in New York, so it's probably a block away somewhere.
Mhm.
We walk in there and there's, let's say there's a young lady stocking produce. And you get in there and I say, all right, Stephen, your goal is to go figure out how much she makes in 60 seconds, and you're not allowed to ask any questions or be awkward. And that's tough, right? It sounds really tough. So if you went over to her, and this is a generalization just to get you to understand what elicitation is, and said, hey, I'm trying to find the baby carrots. And she walks you over there, but while you're walking, you say, I just read this article online that says all Whole Foods employees just got bumped up to $26 an hour. That's fantastic. And she turns around and goes, what? No, I make 17. So now she doesn't feel like she's been pressed or questioned about how much she makes. She's correcting you.
Mhm.
Or if you, let's say you got into an Uber tonight and you said, I just read this article that Uber drivers were one of the top most highly satisfied employees in the country. You're going to get a correction. And you're going to be like, what? Where did you read that? So triggering a need to correct the record is one of the easiest ways to use elicitation. But that elicitation is so powerful because we're not being asked questions. So our brain doesn't set off little security alarms. And this is how Soviet spies would get information from a 19-year-old U.S. Navy sailor in the early days of the Cold War. Ship would pull into Thailand, or a submarine would pull into Thailand or Singapore. Then a Russian would go up and these sailors would be drinking at the bar. Russian would sit there. He's got a Aloha shirt on or something and strike up a conversation. And they say, I know that the German submarines could outrun you because their propellers are 22 and all of your submarine propellers are 18 feet in diameter. And the sailor, slightly drunk, turns around and says, no, they're not. And starts giving up all this information just to correct the record. And that's all they did back then, was just correcting the record. I'm triggering this need to offer some kind of correction to information that's inaccurate. And even with business intelligence, let's say that a company's moving and they have to get business intelligence. Somebody at that company will get approached at a bar and somebody will say, yeah, I heard you guys are moving between March and April. And they'll get corrected and they'll say, no, it's actually February, but we're not really supposed to talk about it. It's like, there's no way you're going to move in February. It's too cold and the interest rates are up too high. There's no possible way that the CEO would ever do that. It's like, yeah. And then you're going to get more information out because of the disbelief.
오늘의 핵심은 상대의 교정 본능을 이용하는 것입니다. 이 강력한 기술을 여러분은 어디에 먼저 써보고 싶으신가요? 오늘 통찰이 유익하셨나요? 다음 내용도 궁금하시다면 구독, 좋아요 부탁드립니다.